Hello everybody, this is Dr. Nurbat Shah. From here onward, I'm going to start the video series about arithmetic aptitude, in which the first video is about time and work. Okay, how does it work? Let me explain the main steps involved in it. So if you want to find a number of days in which the work could be done by someone, so that can be done the following way. If A can do a work in m days, then the work done by that individual in 1 day, that could be simply found as 1 divided by m, because the work done and number of days, they are inversely proportional. So if someone can do a work in m days, right, then the proportion he will do in 1 day, that will be 1/m. And the other way around, if you are given a 1 day work and you want to find the number of days in which he will complete the work, that is simply again, it's the reciprocal of it. If you have 1/m is the proportion of work that is done by an individual in 1 day, and you want to find the number of days that he will complete that work in m days, that will be m days. Okay, simply take the reciprocal of that number. Okay, what about the ratio? And if A is a certain ratio with the B, B is the co-workman of A, then if we want to find the number of days the work completed by B or A, if one of them is given, so that could simply be found in the following way. So ratio of work done, that is 3:1. That's the ratio of work done by A and B. Whereas ratio of time taken by A and B to finish that work is 1:3. It means if A can complete that work in 1 day, then B will finish that work in 3 days, right? So and whereas in this case, if a work done by A, if that is 3, so the work done by B, it will be simply 1. I'll be explaining all these things by doing few examples. So let's start with first example. The first example, the statement is A can do a work in 15 days and B can do the same work in 20 days. And if they work on it together for 4 days, what is the fraction of work that is left? Mean to say, in how many days, how much work is being done in 4 days if they work together. So the main point in this case is you would find the work done by A in 1 day and the work done by B in 1 day, right? And if they work together for 4 days, then simple find how much work has been done. Then the total work, which is usually taken as 1, so we take 1 minus the fraction of work done in 4 days by A and B together. The first step is what you need to find how much work is being done by A in 1 day. So again, using that rule I explained earlier, so A can do a work in 15 days, right? So he would do 1/15 fraction of the work in 1 day. The same thing for B. B could complete that work in 20 days. Okay, and so the 1/20 fraction of the work will be done by B in 1 day. Now if they work together, we simply add that 1/15 and 1/20 if you want to check if they work together, and then how much work will be done in 1 day. So that is simply 1/15 plus 1/20, and how much work will be done in 4 days. So simply multiply 4 into 1/15. That's the work done by A in 4 days and work done by B in 4 days. So all work done by them together, that will be 4 into 1/15 plus 4 into 1/20. And if you add them by simply taking LCM of the number 20 and 15, which is 60, so if you simplify that, it will be simply 16 plus 12 divided by 60, which is 28/60. Okay, but that's the proportion of work which is done by, if you simplify that, it's simply maybe you can simplify that, or no, it's okay as well. So if this is the work done by A and B together, right? So if you want to find how much work is left, so that could be simply found as 1 minus this quantity. Basically 1 means 100%, and that's the complete one fraction. So you can simply take as convert this into percentage, and then we take 100% minus this percentage, or you can simply take 1% is 1, and this fraction is obviously representing the same percentage. So we can take 1 minus 28 by 60, which is equal to 60 minus 28 by 60. Again, that's the LCM, so which give you 32 by 60, and that is equal to 8 by 15. So 8 by 15 fraction of the work is still left. Okay, so that's the correct answer. That will be the answer if you are given some options. So simply pick this option, this option. So 8 by 15 fraction of the work will be left behind if they work 4 days together. Another example is A can lay a railway track between two given stations in 16 days, and B can do the same job in 12 days. If another person C, with the help of them, if they work together and that is done in 4 days, you should need to tell how many days will require to C to do the same job. So again, the same thing you will be finding for number of fraction of work to be done in these days by A and B respectively. So A can do in 1 by 16 fraction of the work in 1 day, whereas B can do 1 by 12 fraction of the work in 1 day. Okay, now if all the three person work together, and we have to find the work done by C, right? So let's suppose the work done by C or completed by C in X days. So what would be the fraction of work that is done in 1 day? It will be simply reciprocal of this number, which is 1 over X, right? So if they work together, that work is completed in 4 days. So if we simply multiply this by the sum of these numbers by 4, in the same other way what I explained in last example. So it is 4 multiplied by 1 over 16 plus 4 multiplied by 1 over 12 plus 4 multiplied by 1 over X, that is equal to 1. It means the work is being completed when this fraction of work is done in 4 days by A. This fraction of work is done by B in 4 days, and this is the fraction of work done by C in 4 days, and that is completing the whole work. If you simplify this and solve this for X, simply we have this is 1 by 4 plus 1 by 3 plus 4 by X is equal to 1, which can give, after taking LCM and simplifying it, that will give you 5 by 12. So this is the value of X, mean to say this is the fraction of work which is done by C in 1 day. And if you want to find so this is simply a 4 by X value, so X is equal to 48 by 5. So this is the work done by C if E works individually. So it's a 9 days and 3 by 5 something, some fraction of the next day, the 10th day. That's the correct answer. So it will be finishing the work, completing the work in 9.6 days something. Example 3 is if A, B and C can do a piece of work in 20, 30 and 60 days together respectively, that is A can do the work in 20 days, B can do same work in 30 days, C can do that work in 60 days, and how many days can A do the work if he is assisted by B and C on every 3rd day? Okay, so he's basically assisted by the first 2 days, you'll be working by alone, and then the 3rd day these two together are with them as well. So in how many days A will finish that work? Again, the concept is same. You have to go for work done in 1 day. So for 1 day work done is 1 by 20, because you can do that work in 20 days. The 1 by 20 fraction of work will be done in 1 day. And in 2 days, it's simply 2 multiplied by 1 by 20 is 1 by 10. The first 2 days he's working alone, so we'll find the work done by A in first 2 days. Okay, and then after that the third person also included, so the work done on third day will be 1 by 20, 1 by 30 and 1 by 60, which is also 1 by 10. Now the total work done in 3 days, it will be simply 1 by 10 plus 1 by 10, because this is the work done by A in 2 days, this is the work done by A, B and C on the third day. So that's the work done in 1 day, that is the work done in 2 days. So work done in 3 days, that will be simply sum of these two. So the work done in 3 days will be 1 by 10 plus 1 by 10, that is equal to 1 by 5. So that's the 1 by 5th part of the work is being done. How much is left? It is simply 1 by 5 of the work is done in 3 days. So the total work will be done in 3 into 5, that is 15 days. So if A is doing that work alone, it will be done in 20 days, whereas if every 30 day every 3 days these two are also assisting them, so it will be taking 15 days to complete that work. Okay, an example 4, A is thrice as good as workman as B, and therefore is able to finish a job in 60 days less than B. Working together, they can do it in how many days? If they work together, in how many days they can do this work? So you see that the ratio will be what? It is thrice as good as workman as B. So the ratio between A and B is 1:3. That's the number of days, ratio in the number of days, that's the work. If it is work, so it will be 3:1. It means if a work is done by A in 1 day, that will be done by B in 3 days. So you see the difference between the number of days taken by them will be simply 2. Right, so difference in 2. Now here we are given a difference is 60 days. So for the difference of 60, if we assume any time for B, let's suppose that's 90, it could be 100, it could be 120, it could be any number, and then by taking difference, A will be able to do that work in 30 days. Okay, because the difference should be 60. Okay, so if they work together, in how many days they will do that? So you see that if it is the work is done for B, that is 90, so in 1 day it can its work will be 1/90, and for 1 day work for A will be 1/30, right? And then you can simply see the combined work is 1/30 plus 1/90, that is 2/45. So if they work together, okay, they can do a fraction of 2/45, and then the total work done will be what? We simply take the reciprocal of this. So A and B together can work, that is 22.5 days. Okay, next example is A alone can do a piece of work in 6 days, B can do the same work in 8 days. A and B undertook to do it for rupees 3,200. With the help of C, they completed the work in 3 days. How much is to be paid to C? Right, so you see A can do again work in 6 days, so for 1 day the work will be 1/6, for B it will be 1/8. Right, we don't know how much work can be done by C in 1 day, so we need to find that first. Okay, so A can do work in 1/6 part of the work in 1 day, whereas B's 1 day work is 1/8. Okay, so with the help of C, they complete the work in 3 days. So it means when they completed the work, the proportion of A is 1/8, where the proportion contribution of B is 1/6. One is 1/6, B is 1 over 8, and the total work is done in 3 days, so it proportion is 1 by 3. So we simply take the difference from total work done, the proportion of A, the proportion of B, the contribution of A, the contribution of B. We subtract the contribution of A and B from the total number of days. That will simply give you the contribution of C. So in this case, the contribution of C is 1 by 24. So A can do the work in 1 by 6, B can do in 1 by 8, whereas C can do in 1 by 24. So if you find the ratio from here, the ratio will be simply 4 ratio 3 ratio 1. How did we find that? Simply multiplying this by 24, just to get rid of the fractions. So if multiply this with 24, it will give you 4, this with 3, and this is 1. So the ratio is 4 ratio 3 ratio 1 if you multiply that. Now how much amount will be paid to C? So you see the amount is also distributed in this ratio, because the work done by A will be 4 ratio 3 ratio and 1 ratio. So this amount 3200 will be distributed in A, B, C with this ratio. The procedure for it is usually done as we find a sum. So it is 4 plus 3 plus 1, which is equal to 8. Now the fraction of amount paid to C, the proportion is given, the ratio is given 1. So we simply find that is 1 divided by 8 multiplied by 3200. So that is the proportion, that's the amount paid will be paid to C, which is 400. If we want to find an amount paid to B, so simply take 3 by 8 multiplied by 3200, which give you obviously it's the same thing as 1200, and so on. So that's the 1600, and then 1600 will be paid to A as well. Okay, so that can be simply done as C payment can be found as 1 over 8 into 3200, that is 400 rupees will be paid to C. If you have any question, you can ask. Thank you very much, and see you again.